over to Allie and Tamara for class. I've started recording. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Allie W. I'm from Yarn Inspirations, and we are here today with Tamara Kelly of Moogly Blog. And we're so excited. We have a really great pattern here today, the Tunisian strawberry stitch. So I don't know about you all, but I am so eager to learn more about Tunisian. Just a little housekeeping before we kick things off. If you have any questions throughout the class, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will get to as many as we can throughout the class. Perfect. I will hand things over to you.
All right. Well, as she said, hi, I'm Tamara from Moogly, and today we're talking about the Tunisian strawberry stitch. You can see we're using 2 colors for this stitch. If you don't have 2 colors of yarn, if you only brought 1 ball of yarn with you today, don't worry about it. We're just learning this stitch. You'll also, though, need a Tunisian hook. But if you don't have a Tunisian hook, we're just making a small swatch. So you can get away without one for today. But if you want to continue with Tunisian, you definitely want to get a Tunisian hook. You can see right here, a Tunisian crochet hook is quite a bit different from your standard crochet hook. Still has a hook on one end. You can see it's got a really long, straight shaft. And that's because Tunisian crochet has a lot in common with knitting. And in that, at certain points, we're going to have a whole bunch of loops on our hook all at once. So you really need that long, straight shaft on your hook so that you can add all those stitches. But like I said, for today, we are making a small swatch. So if you only have a standard crochet hook, that's absolutely fine. For today's demonstration, I will be using Red Heart Soft, which you can see right here. I've got a couple of colors here, some pink and some green. But again, you can use whatever colors you want, or just one color if that's all you happen to have with you today. And I'm choosing to use a 6mm Tunisian hook. Again, we're just making a swatch, so if you don't have that same hook available to you, you can use definitely whatever you have on hand, just as long as it seems to be the right size with your yarn. So I would love to hear from you guys in the chat. Let us know if you've done Tunisian before. If you haven't done Tunisian crochet at all before, some of it might get a little complicated, but I'm going to try and take my time and really demonstrate each one of these stitches. And I do have a full beginner Tunisian series on the Moogly Blog YouTube channel if you want to check that out as well. So with all that said, let's go ahead. I'm going to bring in my hand camera, and we can switch over to the hand camera and get a closer look here at this swatch. So here is the swatch. You can see the lighting tonight really wants to make that dark green real dark, but you can see it creates these little bobbly berries right in the Tunisian fabric. And that's essentially what we're doing. We're making bobbles. If you've made a crochet bobble before, we'll be doing that right within our Tunisian stitch. So it's a little bit different, but it is a lot of fun. Now with Red Heart Soft, you can see these bobbles are, well, for lack of a better word, they're soft. If you use a stiffer yarn and a smaller hook, you could get really tight bobbles that really stand out from your fabric really sharply. With a little bit bigger hook and softer yarn, you can get sort of softer bobbles. Still lots of texture there, as you can see, but a little bit softer. They don't stand out for quite as much. So let's go ahead and get started with our Tunisian swatch here for the strawberry stitch. Like I said, I'm using Red Heart Soft. I'm going to go ahead and pull the label off here because I like to pull this one from the outside. And we're going to start with just our main color. Again, if you only have one, totally fine. Go ahead and just use your main color throughout. So hopefully most of you have at least crocheted before. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook, just as we normally do for most any crochet and knit project, like so. As usual, you want to make sure that you've got enough room on that loop that you can definitely easily move your hook within that loop really well. So with that, we are going to start chaining. Now I went ahead and printed out the written instructions for the Tunisian strawberry stitch, which you can find at mooglyblog.com, Tunisian strawberry stitch. Pretty simple to Google that one. And so there are written instructions there that I just want to point out that you can follow along with. And in those instructions, it states that this stitch is a multiple of 4 plus 3. So for today's swatch, we're going to do 3 repeats. So that means we're going to chain a total of 15, which would be 3 repeats of 4, 12, plus 3, 15. So let's go ahead and chain 15 together. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Once again, I saw a little question pop up. Let me hold this a little closer here so you can kind of take a screenshot if you want to. But mooglyblog.com, Tunisian strawberry stitch. All right, and oh, thank you very much. Allie put it in the comments. That in the chat. Thank you. Yes, it's in the chat. Thanks. All right, so we have a chain of 15. So we're going to start working into these stitches. When we make Tunisian stitches, I like to work into this bottom hump of the chain right here. Rather than working under those top 2 V's, or the top 2 loops there that make the V on top of the chain, I like to flip it over and come underneath the chain. I find it's just a lot easier to get started this way, but if you've done Tunisian before and you prefer to go under a different part of the chain, you absolutely can do it however you like to do it. Excuse me. So what we want to do is we're going to skip the chain closest to the hook, and then we're going to pull up a loop from every remaining chain until we get to the end. So let me show you what that means. We skip the one closest to the hook, go to the chain after that, and insert your hook just like you were doing anything, a slip stitch, a chain, or a single crochet. Go right into that loop, yarn over, pull up the loop, and that's where we're going to stop with that stitch right now. Right now we're making the first forward pass. So we want to go through and pick up and pull up a loop from each one of these chains. So we started by making 15 chains, and when we get to the end of pulling up loops here, because we had one already on our hook and we skipped the one closest, we'll have 15 loops on our hook. However many stitches we chained is the same number of loops we want to have on our hook after this first forward pass. So this is where the crochet and the knitting sort of combine. We're getting lots of loops here. You can see how having that long shaft on your hook is really helpful. You just want to take your time and pick up a stitch from each one of those chains. So we're going to have lots of active loops here on our forward pass, but then when we make our return pass, rather than turning our work and working back the other direction, we're going to come back, keeping this side of our fabric facing us, and we're going to come back down until we have just one loop left. So as I say, it's a pretty interesting combo. So we get right down to that last chain. I want to make sure to get that one as well. There we are. And then I like to just take a minute and really kind of straighten that all out and make sure that I have 15. Since I started with a chain of 15, I want to make sure I have 15 loops on my hook. We've got 5, 10, 15. There we are. So just give you a minute there to make your own first forward pass there. And that's what it should look like after row 1 of your forward pass, excuse me. Okay, so are there any questions I can answer about that before I start the return pass?
No questions right now.
Okay, great. All right, so for the return pass, we need to work all these loops back off our hook until we're back down to 1 loop. So to do that, the first thing we do is yarn over and basically chain 1. Just pull right through that first loop right there. Stop there. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Pull through 2, pull through 2, all the way down our hook. So yarn over. It should be about the same looseness or tightness as your any other time you're crocheting. You want it to be loose enough to be able to move your hook in there. You know, if it's so tight you can't move your hook, your tension is too high. But if you're having trouble with things falling off the hook, then it's probably too loose. So now we're going to, like I say, we've got it yarned over. We pull through 2, just like that. Yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we just keep doing that all the way until we're left with just 1 loop left on our hook. I need to pull up a little bit more yarn here so you can keep pulling off your loops in pairs like that. And of course, There we are. Can I keep pulling those apart across here? I don't know if there's anything I can do about audio. Let me know if other people can't hear me. I know one person was having trouble. Okay, so here we go. We have pulled off those stitches in pairs. Now we've got just one loop left on our hook. There we are. Okay, thank you, Debbie. All right, so that is what it should look like after your first return pass. Now we haven't really gotten into the fancy Tunisian strawberry stitch here. This is a very standard, this is your foundation row. This is your Tunisian Foundation Row. It's how you're going to start 90% of your Tunisian projects. There might be a different number of stitches, but that's how they're going to begin. Now, this is where we get to start having more fun with our stitches. So the first loop, the one that's right here on our hook, actually counts as our first stitch. You remember when we made our foundation row, we skipped that first stitch, or that first chain closest to the hook. This one, unlike crochet, is actually going to count as your first stitch. So what we want to do now is we want to make what's called a Tunisian simple stitch in the next 2 stitches. So when we look at that previous row to see where we should work into that previous row, I'm gonna grab a different hook here so it's a little bit easier to point. I feel like my fingers are gonna get a little bit in the way. Here we go. This vertical bar right here, that is basically the first stitch in this row as we're looking at it. This vertical bar right here would be the second stitch, third stitch, fourth stitch, fifth stitch, sixth stitch. So that's how you want to look at these stitches, because they don't look like your standard crochet stitches. You look for that vertical bar right up there in front. Now, if we tease that apart a little bit and look at what we've made, you can see, oh, that hook's trying to roll right back on screen. If we tease that apart, you can see behind that vertical bar in front, there's another one in back. So that is what our Tunisian stitches look like, and that's what we're going to be working into. So we come back over here. Since this is our first stitch, we want to come to that second vertical bar in the first row for our first stitch. And that's where we're going to put our first Tunisian simple stitch. And this stitch really is quite simple. We go right under that vertical front bar right there. Keep your hook right in the front of the work. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And that's it. That's a Tunisian simple stitch. So we need to do that now in our next stitch. So we find that next vertical bar right there. Just slide your hook right under there. Oops, yarn over. Get that centered again for us there. And pull up a loop. So now we've got our starting stitch and 2 Tunisian simple stitches. Now what we're going to do is and this is going to sound complicated, but bear with me. We're going to work into the next stitch as if it were a Tunisian knit stitch, but we're going to make 5 double crochets there. But because this is Tunisian, we have to leave that last loop of the double crochet on our hook. So, like I said, that sounds like a mouthful, but I'm going to do that again, or I'm going to do it for you right now, and you'll see it's not so bad. So we're going to yarn over like we would for a double crochet. And for this one, we want to go under that bar in front like we did before, but now we want to send our hook all the way to the back of the fabric. Rather than having it skim right along in front, we push it right on through. So that back vertical bar of the stitch should be on the back of the hook. So let me pull my hook back out and do that again. Okay, so we find that next vertical bar right there. We yarn over, put your hook behind that bar like we were doing before, but then right on through to the back of our fabric. Then we yarn over, pull that loop all the way through back to the front of the fabric, yarn over, and pull through 2. But then we stop right there. We leave that loop on our hook. So now we need to do that 4 more times, all into that same stitch. Just sort of as if we were making a double crochet 5 together bobble. So let me pull up a little bit more yarn here, because bobbles are yarn eaters, whether you're doing Tunisian or regular crochet. So we yarn over, go right back into that same space. It should be a little bit easier to see now. So you can see the bottom of that stitch is worked right into that space. So we yarn over and go right into that same space all the way to the back of the fabric. Yarn over, pull that loop all the way through to the front of the fabric. And I always like to just give the fabric a little bit of a tug there. There we are. And we yarn over and pull through 2. So let's do that. We've got to do that 3 more times, all in that stitch. We yarn over. You can see right there. Do you see that hole where the bottoms of those stitches are working? It's essentially, if we look at that next stitch, it's going right in between those 2 vertical bars. This is the one in front, is actually to the left. The one to the right is the one in back. And you push, let me grab another hook here. You push straight through between those bars to the back of the fabric. Oop, got too many things in my hands here. There we go. So hopefully that's a little easier to see there. So if we look at our stitch here, we can see we've got 2 of them made, so we need 3 more. I've got the yarn over already on my hook. I go right back in that same space, to the back of the fabric, yarn over and pull up my loop. I always give it a nice little tug up here, make sure it's on the front of the fabric, so I can yarn over and pull through 2, and leave that loop on the hook. Excuse me. Okay, 2 more to go. We yarn over, go right back into that same space, yarn over again and pull up our loop, pull it up a little bit, and yarn over and pull through 2. That last loop there stays on our hook. So 1 more, we yarn over, go right back into that stitch, yarn over again, and pull up our loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. So let's stop here and take a look at what we've got so far. We've got that very first stitch we made, the one that was already on our hook, how we finished up our return pass. We have our 2 Tunisian simple stitches, and you can still see that vertical bar that we worked under right underneath those. And then we've got our 5 started double crochets. It's just like when we started a double crochet, as if we were going to do a bobble. If this was a regular crochet bobble, we would yarn over and pull through all 5 of those loops. But because it's Tunisian, we're not going to do that. This is a special stitch. We want to leave all of those on there. So when you've got your first bobble started like this, you should have a total of 8 loops on your hook. So were there any questions I can answer on that before I continue across our forward pass here on this row?
Yes, there's a question here from Patricia. When you push the hook to the back, are you putting it in a hole? Where could you clarify where the hook is going?
That is going right in between that vertical bar in front and the vertical bar in back. So that's didn't want to focus there for a minute. Let's see if we can get it to focus a little better. There we go. So you would go right behind that bar that's in front. I'm really not left-handed. I have to do it right-handed, sorry. Behind that bar that's right there in front. And if I just push that right to the back of the fabric, you can see it's between those 2 bars, but it's not a hole like we're used to thinking of it in crochet, but it is a place where the hook will go. So this right here is what it should look like right now. There we are with 8 loops on the hook. Our starting loop, our 2 Tunisian simple stitches, and then the 5 stitches from our first bobble there. Okay, so what we're going to do then is I'm just checking my instructions to make sure I get it exactly right. Yes, okay. So the next thing we do is work Tunisian simple stitches in the next 3 stitches. And I want to point out that it is really easy for that next vertical bar to hide because we've put so many stitches in the stitch previous. Yes, all 5 of those doubles are going in the exact same space. So because they've pushed that space open, that makes that next vertical bar a little hard to find. So I really want you to take your time and pull back on those bobbles a little bit there so you can find that next vertical bar right there, because it really likes to sort of pretend it's part of the previous ones and it wants to hide there a little bit. So once you've got that in your sights, then we're going to go in there for a Tunisian simple stitch just as we did at the beginning. Go right under that first bar, the vertical bar, keep your hook in front of your fabric, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So there's one, and then we need two more. Two and three. There we are. So now you should have a total of 11 loops on your hook. The beginning one, 2 Tunisian simple stitches, 5 loops from your bobble, and 3 more Tunisian simple stitches. And again, if you look, you can see that vertical bar right underneath there. So you can start sort of reading your work. Then it's time for our next bobble. We're going to be doing 3 bobbles in this for the first row of bobbles. So let's start our next one. We want to look for that next vertical bar. That one right there. Right there. So we are going to yarn over, and we want to insert our hook underneath that front vertical bar, and then just send it right on back to the back of our fabric. Yarn over, pull a loop up and through, yarn over, and pull through 2. So that's the first one. We've got 4 more. Yarn over again. You're going to go right back in that same exact space. Let me create some space there so you can see it. And where that little white dot is there right at the end of my finger, that is the space, the same space you went into for the previous one. So we yarn over and pull up our loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. So we've got our first 2, and you can see the difference there, how they look like the beginnings of double crochets. That's what they are. We're just working them in a slightly different place. Pull through 2. There's the start of our third. Yarn over, go right back in that same space. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. That should be 4. And so 1 more, right back into that same stitch. Pull up our loop, yarn over, and pull through. So now you can see we have 5 loops, all starting in double crochets and all worked into that same stitch right down there. So then we've got 1 more repeat here for our row. So we need to make 3 Tunisian simple stitches. Again, we want to make sure that we don't miss that next stitch right there. It really likes to hide and get close. So I want to make sure to go in there for a Tunisian simple stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and the next one, and pull up a loop. So now we've got our initial stitch, 2 Tunisian simple stitches, 5 loops from our first bobble, 3 Tunisian simple stitches, 5 loops from our second bobble, 3 simple stitches, and now we've got our last bobble. So this would be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. A total of 19 loops on the hook currently, unless I missed one, but I don't think I did. So let's go ahead and make this next bobble together, which will be, of course, adding 5 more loops. We yarn over, find that next vertical bar, insert your hook right on through to the back, yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. So we've added another loop. We yarn over, go right back in that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So there's our second one. Yarn over again, go right in that stitch there, yarn over and pull up a loop, pull it, yarn over and pull through 2. So we can see we've got 3 double crochets started there. So we've got 2 more to go. We yarn over, go right back in that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, go right back in that finally in that same stitch one more time and pull up our loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. So now we have our first stitch, 2 Tunisian simple stitches, 5 stitches for our first bobble, that's 8, 3 more Tunisian simple stitches, that's 11, 5 more for the bobble would be 16, 3 Tunisian simple stitches would be 19, and 5 more for that last bobble there would be 24. So sorry, I was really concentrating on reading my stitches there. I'm sorry if I went off camera just a little bit there at the end, but we should have that total of 24 loops on our hook. So when we come to the end here, since we're just making our little swatch, we have run out of repeats. You can see there are 3 stitches left. There are 3 vertical loops left, 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to Tunisian simple stitch in these, but we're going to handle that very last one just a little bit differently because it will give a better finished edge on our Tunisian crochet. So again, make sure that that third one there isn't trying to hide in the stitch, and just go right in there and yarn over and pull up a loop. You can see it's getting a little awkward with all these loops on your hook. So, you know, definitely take your time, find each one of those stitches. It is a different way to hold your hook than you might be used to, a different way to hold and tension your yarn a little bit. So it's okay if it feels a little awkward for sure. Now we've got this very last one left. And what I like to do for the very last stitch of Tunisian rows is I really like to go under both of these loops right here at the end. Let me see if I can bring that a little bit closer so it's a little easier to see. So here is that first vertical bar, the one in front, and there's actually another one right here on the end, right behind it. And if we go under that one, the vertical one right there, the one we normally do, and also pick up that one right behind it, and then yarn over and pull through, that's going to give us just a much nicer, firmer left side of our crochet. So that's just a sort of general Tunisian tip. If you're following a written pattern for something, especially like a garment or something like that, if it doesn't tell you to do that and it tells you to do something specific and something else, obviously you should follow that because they probably had a reason for that. But for now, for this, I would say you go under those 2 end loops and it will just give you that better edge. So then we are ready for our return pass. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to yarn over and just pull that through that first loop, like so. And then we are going to continue to do that across just as we did before. We're not going to gather our bobbles closed yet. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 all the way across. So it's still going to be a little flared and funny looking when we get done. I'll show you what that looks like. But don't worry, we'll gather up those bobbles here in the next pass, I believe. But as you work off these pairs of loops off your hook, you want to pause when you have 2 loops left on your hook, because that's where we're going to change colors. So while I do this, are there any other questions I can answer?
No other questions right now.
Okay. So we're just working these off in pairs. You can see how that's really curling up, and it almost looks like a ruffle or scallops. Be a great way to do a ruffled or scalloped edge with your Tunisian crochet, but this will all pull back together so that we get nice straight edges on our swatch. We just have to work off all our stitches here. So with Tunisian crochet, when I put it down, when I'm in the middle of my work, it can be really difficult sometimes to tell if you're going forward or backwards. So if possible, I do recommend that you try and get back to that last loop, or at least the final 2 loops, so that it's a little easier for you to see where you are in your work. So here's what it looks like. I'm down to those last few loops. Normally I would pull through and finish, but I want to change color. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you what that looks like right now. So you can see how roughly that is and wide, because we added all those extra stitches. Now we're going to start pulling them back together. So it's time to pull up that second color if you have it. If you don't have a second color available today, that's fine. You can just keep going with the main color. You'll still learn all the stitches. I just want to change colors so you can really get that strawberry effect today. I'm just pulling up a good bit of yarn here so I don't have to stop in a moment, or at least not as soon. Oh, there we are. If you're working with chunky yarn, it will still be very distinctive. You'll probably have to go up in hook size a little bit. Something I didn't talk about, but is generally true with Tunisian crochet, is that in general, again, you know, it's crochet, everything's variable, but in general, you'll want to use a larger hook than you might typically use with that yarn just to do standard crochet stitches. Tunisian fabric is pretty thick compared to standard crochet. It's all one-sided. You're generally working only from that right side, but it does create a thicker fabric. So you'll want to look at a larger hook typically than you would use for that yarn. Okay, so I think I've got all my fingers sorted here. So we are down to those last 2 stitches. So if you want to change colors now, if you're feeling brave, you know, if you're feeling really wobbly right now, maybe don't. But I'm just going to yarn over basically with that new yarn and pull through those last 2 stitches. And just like that, I've got that first stitch for my next row and I'm in my new color. So that's all done. So what we want to do now is Tunisian simple stitch in the next 2 stitches. So we got to find the working one here. And we're just going to pull these, the end and the pink one down to the side here. We're going to leave the pink attached so we can pick it up again. But for now, we can just leave those down to the side. So what we want to do is start the same way we did for our previous forward pass. Tunisian simple stitch in the next 2 stitches, because remember, this one counts as our first stitch. So that one's kind of already considered worked into, basically. So we just go right under that first loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, first Tunisian simple stitch made, under the next loop, yarn over, there's our second one. So now we've got those 3 stitches on our hook. So what we want to do now is we want to work into the tops of the double crochet stitches and make a Tunisian knit stitch in each double crochet. Then we will yarn over and close up all 5 of those loops. So let me go ahead and pull this out. I just saw a request to show how to add the green again. So this is how I'm going to carefully pull those out. Get my hook back in there. Those are those last 2 loops. When you are doing your return pass in one color and you'd like to switch colors for the next row, as soon as you have those last 2 loops left on the hook, you just yarn over with the new color and pull that one right on through. So it's pretty similar if you've changed colors in regular crochet before, standard crochet stitches. If you want to switch to a new color, it's a good idea to finish the stitch, sort of do that last yarn over and pull through 2 loops with the new color. Basically, this is the same idea. So let's go ahead, now that we've got that loop on our hook, make those Tunisian simple stitches again in those next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and there's 2. Now the Tunisian knit stitch is the one, remember, where we go under that bar just like the simple stitch, but then we send our hook all the way through to the back of the fabric. So we are going to go under that bar for the next stitch. And I could keep it in front, but it's a knit stitch, so I just send it right on through to the back. Yarn over, pull up a loop. We're going to do that at the top of each of these double crochets. So go right in through the next one, pull up a loop. There's 2 of them. Go behind that first bar to the back, yarn over, and pull up a loop. There's 3. The next one. And you can see, I really do. Some people can just push straight through. I like to pick up that first bar and then just let my hook go right to the back. Pull that loop up and through. You can see all that's happening behind our hook right now. It'll be a little bulky. We've got our last double crochet for this bobble right here. We want to pull up our loop from there. So now, again, just like when we started our bobbles, you'll have 8 loops on your hook. The initial stitch, 2 Tunisian simple stitches, and now a Tunisian knit stitch worked into the top of each of those double crochets. So now is when we want to really close up that bobble. So I was talking before a little bit about tension, and you can see how the hook is, I'd say, kind of how I'd want my hook to be in any crochet stitch. Enough room to move, but it's not big and gappy. For this particular move, I want you to add a lot of tension to your working yarn, as much as you can handle. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through these 5 loops. We don't want to go any further. We just want to pull through these 5 loops that were part of our bobble. So if it helps you, you could put a stitch marker in between, or just sort of create a little bit of space in between there so you can really see visually. We're just going to pull through all 5 of these. As we pull through them, we want to push that bobble towards us a little bit. So we're going to put tension on our yarn over, and don't worry, we're going to do this again, and pull through these 5 loops while pushing this berry forward. So you can see I've got some real good tension there on that yarn, and I'm just going to pull right through those first 5 loops. You don't have to do them all at once. You can take your time because you're pulling through a lot and you don't want to pull all the way across. But as soon as you're through just those 5, you come up and really get that yarn nice and tight. Then you can release the loop that's on the hook. You want that to be loose enough to work into. But you want these guys down here nice and tight. And you can see we've made our first little berry. So time to continue on across. Let's make some more. Again, want to make sure we don't miss that next stitch. Really pull your fabric apart. It'll be a little bit easier now that we're into it a little bit. I want to focus. There we go. Make sure you're finding that next vertical bar for your next Tunisian simple stitch. So we've got 3 of those in between our berries. Got 1, 2, and 3. Now, one thing you might note that I have found to be true with this yarn, it's not true with every yarn I've tried this with, but this berry really wants to push back this way. Not a big deal. As you're crocheting with these stitches, it'll wobble, it'll pop back and forth, but at the end, when you're all done crocheting, you'll be able to pop that more forward. Right now, though, it might want to try and flop around on you a little bit. So we got our initial stitch, our 2 Tunisian simple stitches. Now we have just 1 stitch from the top of our berry and our next 3 Tunisian simple stitches. So we're ready to start our next berry. And we've got 5 double crochets to work into right there. So remember, these are going to be Tunisian knit stitches. We go under that first bar, but then send that yarn, or that hook rather, right to the back of the fabric and pull up a loop. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we are. Okay, so now, there we are. And oh yes, I love that idea. Debbie just mentioned this would be super cute in orange and green or brown for little pumpkins. Very seasonally appropriate. I love it. I love that idea. Okay, so now we've got to close up this bobble, right? So we want to look at our stitches again. We want to make sure to separate those 5 stitches that we're going to gather together away from all the other stitches that are going to hang out and wait for our return pass. So however you need to do that, get those 5 stitches set aside. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to yarn over and just pull through those 5 stitches. But we want to make sure we've got that tension on our yarn. So we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Give it a little tug back there so it's nice and tight. Make sure that actual loop on the hook is loose enough though. And we've got our second berry finished. So now we need 3 more of those Tunisian simple stitches that give us that little space in between. So we can pull our stitches apart here and just make sure that I didn't miss one. It looks like I might have missed one on our forward pass somewhere here. Let me make sure. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we are going to make 3 Tunisian simple stitches here. And then we've got our last berry. Let's see here. Okay, make sure we've got our double crochet stitches here are the ones we're going to be working into. There we go. You really just have to take your time with Tunisian sometimes and really look at those stitches because they're not, if you do a lot of regular crocheting, they're not what you're used to. So we're going to go into the top of that first one for a Tunisian knit stitch. So there's 1 and 2 and that third one in there. Sometimes they want to be tricky. 4. And it really feels like after you put that first one in there, it should be going somewhere, but it's just that whole space that's right back there. And I think that was 5. Yes. Okay. So again, we need to look at our hook loops on our hook. That did not want to come out. Separate our 5 that we want to go through at the top of our berry from all the rest of our stitches. And then we can yarn over and pull through those 5 stitches. Just keep lots of tension there on your hook. Give it a little wiggle, get that type of that berry nice and tight. Make sure the actual loop on your hook is loose though, so you can work into it again. And now we're ready to finish off. You should have 3 stitches left for 3 Tunisian simple stitches, or rather 2 Tunisian simple stitches and then that little end stitch again. So maybe it'll be, I'm hoping it will be a little easier to see here in contrasting yarn. But if we look at that end of that row right there, hopefully you can see those 2 loops right there. It actually looks a little bit like a V. Might be easier to see on your own work. We're just going to go under that one in front and the one right behind, and then yarn over and pull up our loop. So you can see there, hopefully with the contrasting yarn, a little bit easier. Okay, so now you should have, if we did it right, I believe a total of 15 loops left on your hook, which is, if you'll recall, the exact same number that we started with. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So now we want to go ahead and do our return pass. We're going to do that in green, and we're going to do it just the way we've done all our return passes. Yarn over and pull through just the first loop. Then yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2 all the way across. When we get to the end of this row, we'll be switching back to the pink. So those first couple rows were basically our foundation row, like I talked about, a pretty standard Tunisian foundation row, but now we are into our interesting Tunisian strawberry stitch. So we're going to be changing colors at the end of every return pass as we work back across. So you might see like that right there, there was that big gap right there between those two stitches, not a big deal. We still yarn over and pull through those two. Just try to sort of work those pairs of stitches off gently. Like right there, you can see how that berry really wants to be out on its own. We need to yarn over and pull through those two stitches like the rest, which will help pull those sides in to give us our nice straight sides for our swatch again. So I'm down to those last two stitches. Now you can see that first one's real loose because it's not attached to anything. It's just the end of our yarn. If you wanted to go ahead and weave that in, you absolutely could. But if it's just a little bit loose, you can just kind of give that a little tug there so that it is down and nice and tight again. And then I'm going to drop both of those green strands of yarn and pick up my pink one right here that I'm using for my berries rather than my stems. I'll just bring that right on up to my hook, yarn over, and pull through those last two stitches. And with that, we have finished our return pass. There we are. And we've made our first row of berries. That middle one wants to hide. There we go. So right now it looks a little crazy, but let's do some more and see how far we can get with our next set of berries. Now let me bring up my swatch again, and I want to talk about that right here. If you look closely here on the swatch, you can see on that first set of berries we had 3. The second set of berries has 4. So that means these are going to be offset. We're going to be working this next set of berries in between the previous berries. So we need to change where we start right there, our first berry, rather than working through having our beginning stitch and 2 Tunisian simple stitches. We'll have our beginning stitch and then we'll start right in with a berry. So let's go ahead, and I see why I ran out of stitches there. It looks like I actually missed one of my double crochets right there. Makes it a little easier to see your mistakes when they're in 2 color, but we're going to keep on rolling. So otherwise I would normally pull that back, but I just missed that first double crochet. All right, let's go ahead and start our next forward pass. So we have our color A right there on our hook. It counts as our first stitch. So now we need to start, as I said, our next berry right in that second stitch right there. So again, I want to yarn over and I'm going to go behind that front bar and then right on to the back of the fabric. This can be a little wobbly. If you are doing a full-size project with this stitch, you may not want to put your berries close to the edge, in which case you could just work Tunisian simple stitches across until you would get to where that would be. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 Tunisian simple stitches, and then you'll put that next berry right in the center of those 3 Tunisian simple stitches that were worked in between. So that is an alternative. But for now, we're starting our first berry for our second row of berries right in this second stitch. Just need to pull up a little bit more yarn there. So there's 3, and just like before, we're starting these double crochets, but we're not finishing them. We're leaving that last loop on the hook for each one. So there's 4, and there's 5, and then I'm going to get my hand out of the way here so you can see with that contrasting color a little bit easier that I was just going all of those right into that same stitch. So then I need 3 Tunisian simple stitches so I can separate that from my berries from each other. So I want to find that very next one right there. And then the next one, and I wanted to show this one in particular, is going to be worked into that stitch that we used to gather the top of the berry closed. So right under that little vertical bar right there. Then we yarn over and pull that loop up. And then one more on the other side here. And then it's time to begin our next berry. So before I begin the next berry, are there any any answers I can question? Any questions I can answer?
No questions right now.
Okay. That wasn't quite enough time to take a drink of water, but I tried. All right, let's try it. We're going to yarn over and start our next berry here. So as I said, you want to make sure that this is going into the center of those 3 Tunisian simple stitches that were separating our berries in the previous row so that we get that offset look. So we yarn over and go right on there and then right on through to the back for a Tunisian knit stitch. And yarn over and pull through 2. Then we need 4 more, all right back in that same stitch. So there's our second one. Then our third one. They do get a lot easier to push through once you've already got a couple stitches in there. Fourth one. Oop, did not want to yarn over there. And our 5th one. There we are. So now we should have our first initial loop there, then 5 loops for a berry, 3 loops in between, and another 5 loops for a berry. So then we need our next 3 to separate from our next berry. So find that next vertical bar, make sure it doesn't get hidden back there. They're very easy to miss, as we've seen. So there's 1, and then that next one, the second one, will be in that little stem, if you will, at the top of our berry. So there's 2, and then the one right after that, 3. There we are. So then the next stitch should be the center one of your next set of 3 there in between berries. So we can start our 3rd berry for this row. So we yarn over, go behind the vertical bar, right on back for that Tunisian knit stitch, yarn over and pull up our loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. There we are. Yarn over again, right back in that same space. There's 2. Yarn over again, right back in that space again. For 3. And go in for a 4th. And a 5th. And you can really see how much these stitches pull apart that yarn. So it does get easier as you go. There we are. So now we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 loops so far. Yes, and I will definitely show you the back here when I get to the end of this row. So now we've got 3 more Tunisian simple stitches. We need our little break between berries. So we've got the one before the stem. Make sure that one doesn't disappear from you. The one that is the stem. And finally, the one right after. And that should leave us with 2 loops left on our little swatch there. So we're going to do 1 more berry and then that little end stitch that I showed you previously. So we yarn over and go in for our Tunisian simple stitch. Pull up a loop and pull through 2. So there's 1. And a little bit more of the pink yarn here. And get some of that pulled up here. There we go. So then we go in for our second one, yarn over, go right through that stitch, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And get our 3rd one. I know we're starting to run out of time, so I'm going to take these a little bit quicker, but these are basically just like any other bobble you've made. You're just working it into a different part of the fabric than you're used to. So there's 4. And here's our 5th. And then for our last one, we just want to work under those 2 stitches right at the end. You just put your hook right through there. You can see those two green loops right there, right at the end of our row. We yarn over and pull up our final loop. So at the end of this forward pass, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31 loops total. There we are. All right. So now we are set up for that next return pass. You've seen how that works. It's exactly the same. Yarn over and pull through the first one and pull back on through. It's just like what we were doing before, but you've just got, you know, slightly, well, one more berry in this row because of the offset. So now let's go ahead and reveal the back. Now that we've got a few rows, you can actually see what that's going to look like. And I'll pull up my taller swatch here too, so you can see that with a few more rows here added. So this is what I was talking about when I said Tunisian crochet is all worked from the same side. We weren't flipping our work over like we do when we work back and forth in rows in standard crochet. We were staying all on one side of our fabric there. So this is the back side, and you can see it is not as attractive. There is a definite right and wrong side with Tunisian crochet. Sometimes you'll get something that looks really fun, but in general, the back side is the back side. That one would be the front side. Looks a lot more orderly and neat. But you'll notice too that with all this going on, it definitely also makes a thicker fabric. Even if we weren't doing these bobbles today, Tunisian fabric in general is just thicker than standard crochet. So you can definitely use that to your advantage, but you can combat that at least somewhat by using that larger hook. As I say, I would always use a larger Tunisian hook than I would a standard hook for crocheting, basically, a standard crocheting hook. The label on the Red Heart Soft here, I had to pull that up, calls for, if we can find that here, there we are. It calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook. So I would not start with anything smaller than probably a 6 millimeter. You can see that's what I've been using here is a 6 millimeter. And you can see how really tight that fabric is. It's a little thick, it's a little stiff. So if you were doing a Tunisian garment, I would in fact probably even start at something closer to an M or an N, like a 9 millimeter with this yarn. It will really benefit your Tunisian fabric. Were there any other questions I could answer? I did see one just pop up. Oh, go ahead.
Victoria wants to know, would you say regular crochet or Tunisian crochet is easier?
Oh gosh. Well, you know what? I think it depends if you already know how to knit or crochet. If you already, well, I guess if you already know how to crochet, you wouldn't be asking that question, but I think if you already know how to knit, it's quite easy to pick up Tunisian crochet. I think if you don't already knit, it will be a little bit more of a challenge, but I also think it will make it easier for you to later learn knitting if you want to. It's just a really neat mashup because you can see we've got all these active loops like you're used to with knitting, but we're still got that one hook, you know, that most crocheters are comfortable with. If you don't know how to do Tunisian crochet or crochet, I would recommend learning standard crochet first, just because I think there will be some things that will translate in Tunisian that will be easier for you. I think most Tunisian patterns are written with the expectation that you already know how to do the standard crochet stitches. So you might have a pattern that would be 99% Tunisian, but when it's time to work that border, more likely than not, you're going to switch over to standard crochet so you can work all the way around the piece a little bit easier. So a blanket would be a great Tunisian project, and there are lots of beautiful Tunisian projects out there for blankets. But you're right, this sort of hook would be far too short. This sort of hook is great for smaller projects. I would use this on the pieces of a sweater maybe that was going to be seamed together, definitely something like a baby sweater, washcloths. But for blankets, what you want to use is something called Tunisian hook or an Afghan hook that has a cord. It's going to be really similar to corded knitting needles if you're familiar with those, but of course you've still only got the one hook. So it would be a hook on one end with a bit of straightness about usually about the length of a standard crochet hook. And then at the end, there's a long cord with a stopper at the end. So if you're familiar with the knitting needles like that you can make for really wide projects, it's kind of the same idea. In terms of tearing out your work, frogging it, basically working back, it is a little bit harder to find your loops, but I find, well, let's go ahead and just pull some of these back here. I'm going to go ahead And that is the downside. You've got to remove your hook first. You can't just pull. The hook's in the way. So if you're on this forward pass, you need to remove your hook first. But then after that, the stitches really do come out quite easily. So if you only want to pull back a few stitches, it's really nice that you can use your hook to hold the rest of those and sort of just slide off the ones you know are bad and go ahead and pull those right back out. But other than that, they pull apart just as easily as your standard crochet stitches for sure. So I think that's the ones for that I'd spotted, Allison.
Margaret wants to know, would a lighter yarn help lighten up the fabric?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that is a great way to get that lighter fabric without having to go to a truly tremendous hook, is to try your lighter weight yarn. So something like Peyton's Grace would be really lovely with for Tunisian's garments. It's going to have, be that thinner mercerized cotton, give you a really nice drape. I love doing these thicker projects with like Lily Sugar and Cream to make really great thick washcloths and dishcloths if you like that sort of project. But you can definitely use the stiffness to the advantage if you're using, like I say, a washcloth, dishcloth, or you want to make a basket. But if you wanted something, really drapey, big hook, thin yarn, the best combo that gives you the fabric you like, but really kind of experiment with it like you would with any other fabric. And I saw another one pop up, but I'm sorry, I didn't catch what it said.
How do you start the next green row since the double crochet stitches are on the very end? Do you start with knit stitches to close the berry, or do you start with simple stitch?
Well, let's see. When we get to right there, let's go ahead and pull it apart. So hopefully this will look familiar. We've got that first green loop. This is, you can see our second row of berries here. We've got that first green loop. We would close it up with the green, just like we did before when we got to those last two loops. So that's the first one that was already our hook. And then we go straight into those Tunisian knit stitches to close up our berry. So you can see the second stitch in that row right there is that little stem of the top of our berry. So the same thing we've been doing before, we just have to jump right into it without doing those Tunisian simple stitches first. Let's just put that extra berry right there on the end. So it looks like we are just about out of time. If we want to go back to the other camera here, I'll swing this one out of the way. All right, there we go. So thank you so much for joining me. I do have, as I said, written instructions for this stitch on mooglyblog.com. I believe that link was put in the chat. I also have a pattern for a dishcloth that uses this stitch, and it has a little basket portion underneath. So I hope you'll check that out. That's on Mooglyblog as well. The strawberry Tunisian basket dishcloth, something along those lines. But I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I'll turn it back over to Allie to close us out.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on another Michael's Community Classroom, and be sure to check back for more classes at michaels.com/online classes, and we'll see you again.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.